Okay, so let's look at vraagwoorde. Vraagwoorde can also help you a lot with your comprehension. So let's see how we will do it. We will first start with our stompie. We will begin with how we structure our sentence in a normal sentence structure way using the abbreviation stompie, just as a guidance. So first up we have subject, and we can already move that down there so we can see when we make our sentence what we're going to do. Subject, usually you ask the question word wie for. In other words, who is doing whatever in the sentence. Wie is your question word. So your question would start with wie. And then the answer for wie can be anything from name, voornaamwoorde, selfstandige naamwoorde, because it can be like die meisie of a appel, of Johnny, whatever the case may be. And then we can have a look at our verb, which is always second in our sentence unless we start with a group 3 conjunction. And we can see that the verb asks the question, wat doen die subject? What is the subject doing? That is your doing word, as you know from English as well. So they can be divided into a werkwoord or a helping werkwoord, a hulpwerkwoord, an auxiliary verb, and a verb, depending on which time we are doing it. Right, so and then next we have our time, which is the next one after the verb, and again we ask the word here, the question word here that we use is wanneer. When are we doing this? And this is indicating an adverb of time, obviously, in your sentence as well. Right, so let's use the sentence, die vrou sing nou. And if we ask you wie sing nou, you look at your subject, and the answer would be correct, die vrou. Very good. And then the next one, let's use the sentence, sy het vroeër gesing. This one is clearly in the past. But still, if we ask wie het vroeër gesing, the important word to look at here is the word wie. And obviously our answer would then be sy. Very good. Linda sal later sing. Wie sal later sing would be your question, and your answer very easily. You spot the name immediately. Linda sal later sing. Right, let's have a look at the next example. The same, we're still busy with the subject, the verb, and the time, and our first sentence that read, die vrou sing nou. Now we can ask you, wat doen die vrou? And then your simple answer would be to go look for where the verb is. And once you find it, that would be your answer. Die vrou sing. Sy het vroeër gesing. Wat het sy gedoen? Can be the question there, possible question for the verb as the verb, so that the verb can be the answer. And then this time you can answer in the past. Het gesing. Wat het sy gedoen? Sy het gesing. Right, and then the last example there, Linda sal later sing. Again, this is a future tense sentence, a tense sentence, so the answer still stays the same. The only difference with past and future is that you have to spot the verb at the end of the sentence. It's not in verb 1's place, but in verb 2's position. So, wat sal sy doen? Wat sal Linda doen? Linda sal sing. And it doesn't matter that if you answer in the past or the future in this case, because it's a very basic sentence. But just keep in mind that tenses, when you do answer comprehension tests, for instance, that your sentences make sense in comparison to what the question expected of you. Right, let's move on. Okay, let's have a look at what do we ask when we get to the time part of the sentence, the adverb of time. Die vrou sing nou. And the question can be, wanneer sing die vrou? And then your answer would be, I hope you guessed it right, no. Sy het vroeër gesing. Wanneer het sy gesing? Vroeër. It's important to obviously know these words that indicate time, not only for tense sake, but also for your own vocabulary. It's easy words to learn, and they have more than one purpose in your language section and in your creative writing section, which you can really make use of. Linda sal later sing. Wanneer sal Linda sing? And your answer then would be there later. Again, wanneer indicates the time, wat doen die subject indicates the verb, and wie indicates the subject. Right. Let's move on towards Stompie, or further into Stompie. We have then after time object. We have two options there, wie or wat. Again, the same as the subject. It can be pronouns, nouns, names, etc. The subject and the object is often being confused. Sometimes one can start with a possessive sections. In other words, haar boek is blauw, and then we're not always sure which one is the object or the subject. That doesn't matter as much unless you are doing active and passive. So for now, just remember that, or for question words purpose, just remember that wie or wat indicates either the object or the subject. Doesn't matter. If you found the one, you can easily spot the other. The next one is manner. We ask the question word who, and this is often confused because of the sound, and I completely understand why it's confusing, because it sounds obviously similar to the English word who, which means wie in Afrikaans. So very important to get your pronunciation linked with your head space there. The sound wie and the sound, or the word wie and the word who are two different words in Afrikaans, spelled differently than the H or than the WHO that you know in English that has the same pronunciation. So just double check, make always sure which one you are working with here. Who, as in how, indicates or points to the adverb of manner. So remember, if you're not sure about your answer, if they have the question word HOE in it, go look for adjectives and degrees of comparisons and intensive forms, because they are usually your adverbs of manners. Not always, but they can be. So that's another hint that you can remember. Then we look at place, which is going towards the end of our sentence before verb 2 and infinitive. And place, again, you can have multiple versions of the word waar. So it doesn't help that if you look at waarna or waarna toe or waarheen and you think to yourself you don't know what that word means. Of course you know what that word means. That word is the same word that comes from waar, and waar means where. It either means where or where to, or also where to. Where are you going to, or where did you go to? It's the same. Waarheen, waarna, waarna toe. Those ones are all the same. As long as there are waar in those three, then you'll be able to kind of identify the place in your passage or in your sentence. And this obviously points to adverb of place. Right, so let's look at the examples. Die vrou sing nou 'n liedjie saggies in die kamer. And your question, or your next example is, sy het vroeër John vinnig na die winkel gevat. Future tense, Linda sal later 'n boek rustig by die skool lees. So let's take the first example and a question. So the question is, wat sing die vrou nou saggies in die kamer? And you'll see I left a question mark in the place where the answer would have been. So let's go back to our sentence, die vrou, the first examples, and remember your question, wat sing die vrou? So now you just focus on your question word, wat. Go up onto the screen on top there and see what belongs to object. So obviously you're going to look for the object in the sentence. It says, die vrou sing nou 'n liedjie saggies in die kamer. So now if you want to do subject and time and object above the sentence, you can write it down, or you can just quickly check. Die vrou is your subject, sing is your verb, nou is your time. Object has to come after time, then there's definitely a manner, and then there's the place. So that must be your manner in the middle there. Die vrou sing nou 'n liedjie. Another indication is the fact that a liedjie has an article in front of it, and we know from previous lessons that a noun always has either a or a D in front of it, and which indicates that that's a noun. And again, if you look at object and the question words, what are we looking for? We're looking for nouns. We're looking for nouns or names or pronouns. So your answer there is vir wat sing die vrou nou saggies in die kamer? 'n liedjie. And then the next question, who sing die vrou nou 'n liedjie in die kamer? And you will find here that who is connected with the manner in your sentence structure. So the adverb of manner you go find, and hopefully you've spotted it, and the answer is saggies. And obviously, in comprehension, you need to try and answer in full sentences using your sentence structure, but steal from the question. As you saw, these answers are literally just words taken out of already formed sentence. So just take your sentence and rearrange it with the correct sentence order using the question words. As simple as that. The question sentences words. Right, let's have a look. Now at the following sentence. Wie het sy vroeër vandag na die winkel gevat? And in this case, wie, we are not referring to the girl, because your question says wie het sy, who did she take? So the subject here is she, and that has been incorporated in your sentence, whereas in this case you have to look not for your subject but for your object again, and therefore in this case you can remember that the sentence says sy het vroeër John vinnig na die winkel gevat, and John is a name, and that's another indication. The next question is waarna het sy en John vroeër gegaan? Now this one is nice and good to remember, because it not only empowers you with this question, but it can empower you with prepositions as well, because sometimes we forget that prepositions is an indication of where the place is already. So even if you don't understand the sentence, if you can spot a preposition, which are most of the time either 2 or 3 words, never, very seldom more than that, here and there obviously, if you can spot that word that is a preposition, then you already have identified your place without even understanding what the sentence is. So in this case, waarna het sy en John vroeër gegaan? Where did she and John go? And your answer is obviously na die winkel, which is very nice to note, because if they give you a sentence, a question word like for place like waar plus a preposition, waarop or waarin, waarby, it is almost definitely pointing to a position in whichever way your sentence is happening. Waar sal Linda later 'n boek rustig lees? And this is your easiest one. I mean, you literally again look for the preposition by the school. That must be your answer. And then last but not least, we have our infinitive. Our infinitive is very easy. You can literally just spot it by looking at the words and te. And this is your equivalent to to in English. He goes to the shops to buy food. That too is our te. And you can ask yourself, hoekom or waarom, if you can't find it. Why did she go to the shops? Why did she read a book? Why? To learn more, to buy things. It gives you an explanation for the question words why. Hoekom and waarom are synonyms of each other. Linda, let's look at our example. Linda sal later 'n boek rustig by die skool lees om slim te word. Remember, om slim te word is your infinitive. And remember that your infinitive you can't touch. Don't break your infinitive up. Leave it as it is. Your infinitive is your infinitive. It's a sentence on its own almost. So leave that. Once you've spotted it, that would be your answer for a hoekom question. So your question would be, hoekom sal Linda later 'n boek rustig lees? And your answer would be, om slim te word. As simple as that. Right, the next example. Die vrou sing nou 'n liedjie saggies in die kamer om haar stem te oefen. Again, you cannot miss it. It's part of infinitive. It's there. It's your reason. It's the little short bit of a tail to a sentence to explain the sentence, to elaborate on your sentence a bit more. Question word, waarom sing die vrou nou 'n liedjie saggies in die kamer? And your answer is om haar stem te oefen. There are another way you can answer a hoekom and a waarom question. You don't always have to use the infinitive. You can say want Lindas wil slim word as part of your answer, or you can say want Linda wil haar stem oefen. And that is an alternative to or a possible answer. And that is your question words, your vraagwoorde. Please make sure that you learn them. You need to know what they mean in order to do these activities. Otherwise, there's nothing really. You'll just keep on falling into the same trap. So remember to connect subjects, time, object, manner, place with your question words, and that from there on you can literally do anything. Actually, you can really get to know the language like that.